So now that the phone call that Tory Lanez made to Kelsey has been released, you have a lot of people starting to believe Megan Thee Stallion. My thing is, the damage has already been done. It doesn't even matter if you believe her, because the thing you should have been doing was believing the victim from the very beginning. Period.
Y'all already know what time it is. I got the black V-neck on.
So what's going on, you all? I wanted to give an update. I had to take a break after the last video. The last video and just all the things, it was taxing. It was very taxing watching all the negativity, watching people shape shift in every type of way the misogyny war was making them to support an abuser, like support this abusive, manipulative leprechaun. Like, I am just like disgusted with a lot of folks. Like, girl, it's been a while since I've been disgusted with some people. I think this just made me look at y'all, like some of y'all like crazy. The folks who've been supporting Ryan with Megan from the very beginning and like believing the victim. I applaud y'all, because that's what it should have been from the very, very beginning. Had we believed the victim from the very, very beginning, we wouldn't have caused the victim even more stress. Because what this whole court proceeding, this whole thing does is make victims of abuse not want to come forward. Because there is no such thing as a perfect victim. There's not going to be all of these things that's going to connect all the time, because there are going to be people who don't believe. And it's never going to be enough. It's never going to be enough, because it's not about telling the truth to them. It's not about what's factual. It's what supports their story. We've seen this. We've seen this with Trump and his alternative facts. We've seen this with the Republican Party as well as the Democratic Party too. How they manipulate data and information and stuff to support themselves, to support whatever. But if we believe a victim, if a victim come forward and say, hey, these are the things I've experienced, Megan Thee Stallion did not want to come forward. Now people say, oh, well, we can't believe her because she didn't tell the truth from the very beginning. She explained the reason for her not being 100% truthful, and that was protecting an abuser, which happens. She thoroughly lined out the reasons for her doing it. One, she was fearing her own safety. Second, she didn't want anything to happen to her. And she didn't want anything to happen to Tory Lanez. She didn't want anything to happen to him or her or all of them together. She literally lined all of that out. So now that this audio has been released, and it was not leaked, because a lot of folks are saying it's leaked. It was not. Shout out to Leaking Night. It's a YouTube channel. She went and did her work, and she got access to the audio, and she posted on her YouTube channel. And now folks are sharing and all that, and now you have people hopping in conversations. I'm seeing black men, cis-het black men now do TikToks and saying, oh shit, like I was wrong, like after this audio, because for a lot of black men who heard that audio, that's them. A lot of black men have either been on their phone call, making a call like that, or know a friend or a partner that they have who've done stuff like that. And that was a real connection for them, like, oh wow. Because you heard it in his voice, and that connected for them. That connected, because they were not able to connect to this black woman experiencing pain, experiencing these things. They were able to connect to this black man feeling guilty. I'm telling y'all, they were able to connect with this black man sounding guilty on the phone, because a lot of black men have had to make this call and apologize for them doing something that they shouldn't have been doing. Whether it's cheating, whether it's being too drunk and like fighting and all the other stuff. If the men have not done it, they know somebody who have done it. And they talk to their partners about doing it. Like, I've been drunk a couple of times with friends, been around weapons, been around guns and stuff. Never have I ever thought about taking my anger out on someone after being drunk. Might be a little flirtatious, with respect and with consent. My mouth might do a little something. I might read a little bit more than I normally do, but it's all in good fun. I'm more comfortable. But that's already me. I'm already flirtatious. I'm already reading. So that's what it does. So if you take someone who is already violent and then you mix alcohol in it, he already admitted he took 4 or 5 shots. He said he was drunk. It just amplified even more, and his insecurity. And his insecurity, because the conversation, if you listen to even Chelsea's interview where she was talking to the prosecution, when she gave very detailed stuff, very detailed to how even like how she fell, how Tory, where he shot at, all the other stuff. Now she don't recall. She don't recall. Girl, you sure as hell recalled a lot when you was telling that story from the very beginning. And the prosecutors were not like forcing her. They was just asking her questions to make sure she was clear in what she was saying. And she sounded very comfortable. That was the stuff that wrapped it up for them. That was the stuff that would wrapped it up for the jurors. Like even reporters were saying, when the jurors heard that, like there was already a done trial. They had already heard like Kelsey's report of the things that happened that night, as well as the phone call that Tory Lanez made to Kelsey. And keep this in mind, the jurors would have even heard the 90-minute, interrogation or whatever, the call or whatever she told. They wouldn't have heard any of that had it not been for the defense attorney who kept making comments about the interview, the whole thing. So they had to listen to it because he kept referencing it. So it's just like, girl, it's a never-ending story of this mess. But the damage is done to Megan Thee Stallion. Now you're seeing some people come out and saying they believe Megan, like, wow, she really was telling the truth. And this is the danger of not believing the victim. This is the danger, and I want folks, well, I'm not playing both sides. You're believing the victim until we get to the truth. Yes, people lie. People do lie. But there's a lot of folks who are telling truth, and there's a lot of folks who are not even talking about their experiences of abuse for whatever reason, because people are not believing them. So if we are not going to listen to the victim from the very, very beginning, like, we're never going to get to any truth because y'all already silenced. The last 2 years have been Tory Lanez and his team and his people, everybody trying to silence Megan Thee Stallion, trying to murk the water, making her something that she is not. That was them silencing her voice, trying to keep her quiet, trying to get her not to talk and to speak on it. But Megan Thee Stallion was already silenced herself in the very beginning. She didn't want to talk about it. She didn't want to give it up. She didn't want to do any of that. But it was the constant lies by Tory Lanez spinning the story to make it seem like he didn't do it because he was nervous as hell. He was overcompensating and doing a lot because he knew he was guilty. I feel the same way watching The Circle, and not to like connect stuff, but to connect it, because when people lie, they are living in this, and I'm pretty sure it's a definition for it. When people lie, they have to overcompensate for the what they're believing is like not the truth, because they're the ones that they're knowing they're lying. So they have to overperform and overdo stuff, and then it causes suspicion. Watching this season of The Circle, interesting because you had two folks who are catfishing in the house, and one of the guys, he was very much hell-bent on playing this preschooler, this teacher or whatever, that he was overcompensating because to him, he's looking from the out, he's looking at himself and like, I know I'm a catfish, so I have to do more. But it's like, people would even thought you a catfish, but the fact that you know you are a catfish means that you're gonna continue to do stuff to make it seem that you're not a catfish. And they caught on to it. They caught on to it. Like, folks don't be understanding, like, especially for like people who have been around liars and know how folks liars. I've been around liars, I know liars. I just remember just like even conversations. If I know you long enough, I've been around, I pay attention to the twits and whatever that stuff called, like the twitches and stuff that folks do when they're not telling the truth. My ex used to do stuff. He used to answer a tone in a very specific way when I asked him something. He would always respond. I forgot how it was because I've literally been erasing him out of my old spirit. They used to do this thing when he did not want to tell the truth. He would ask a question, but because he had to think of a lie. And I feel like that's easy, but other folks, you know, they overcompensate because they know they're not being truthful instead of just being natural. Because when you are not, like, people tell the truth naturally. So when you're trying to lie, it's not going to be natural, especially if someone knows you. So you had Tory Lanez doing all these extra things and trying to keep it off of him. He's trying to keep the public eye off of him, when all he had to do is just shut the fuck up. That's all he had to do from the very beginning. he talked about that in the call. He said that he was going to get majority of the backlash. He said that backlash was going to be on him. Not one time that he, really feel like, I hope y'all good. He just wanted to get out that he was sorry, he shouldn't have done that, and trying to figure out what Megan was. Tory was in protect his brain mode. Tory was in protect his brand mode. That's what he was in. That's what he was doing. That's all he wanted to do. That's all it was giving. That's all it was giving. That man wanted to protect his brand from the very, very beginning. It was not any other thing besides that. And poor Kelsey, she couldn't even pronounce the name of the hospital. She was around there struggling so bad, talking to the ops, telling the ops everything. Listening to Megan in the ambulance and just like crying and stuff. Oh my God. It really, really got to me. It really, really got to me because this is something that happened that night. This is not her response now. This is something that happened that night. Like she was processing right there in that moment. In that moment, she was processing all the things that happened to her. All of the things. And she was like already going through it right then and there. And then you add on the next 2 years of having to see this man terrorize her. I am not feeling any type of way bad for Tory Lanez being locked up. There's not a what's name bone in my body. Like that man caused her so much hell. I'm so sorry. Like I'm so sorry. Yes, I would like to live in a world where Tory Lanez does not exist and do stuff like this. But we don't live in a world like that. That man is literally, harmed her. Like he was causing her harm and abuse for a minute. So I don't feel any type of way. I don't care about his sister out there marching like she a damn jamboree in a damn parade or something major at Transfer High School. I do not care. Like do Trans even have majorettes anymore? I don't care. Like that man was knowledgeable of what he did. He knew what he did. He just did not care. He just did not care. Did not care at all. Just so sad. So sad. Wait, that what Nene said, but yeah, that was it. And just watching everybody now respond and try to say, oh my gosh, like, Megan, like this is da-da-da. It's like, but this is the importance of believing the victim at the very, very beginning. So we don't have to take a victim through all of this for years. This keeps other people from coming out telling their stories. So if we're not believing them from the very beginning, we're doing them a disservice, we're doing them harm. And this is what Megan has experienced the last 2 years. Nothing but harm. And it's quite sad. So, girl, I wanted to do a video about this and talk about it because I really want to leave it in 2022, but we won't be leaving it in 2022 because the sentencing is in the next, couple of weeks, sometime the middle of January or something. So we'll see. I will definitely be doing an update on that. Shout out to all the folks on Patreon who are supporting me. If you are interested in supporting me or all of my content and getting exclusive content, follow me on Patreon at patreon.com/KingOfReads, bringing in some sickening stuff in the new year. And then until next time, I'll talk to y'all later. Bye.